Are you struggling to organize your business into a smooth, high-performing operation? In this episode, we'll help you turn your chaotic business into a well-oiled machine. Learn how to implement effective systems like project management, CRM, and content creation to boost your performance and delight clients with thoughtful design and service. Gain insights from years of hospitality experience and enhance the customer journey. So stay tuned and start building your $1 million business machine and improving your operations today. And stick around until the end for a special gift you don't want to miss.
Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show, where you will discover how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream. Paul Guyan, the mastermind behind the Lead Machine, introduces you to trailblazers who inspire you to implement life-changing solutions and systems you can model to nurture your leads and get your offers seen by your ideal clients who will invest in themselves and you. Be sure you visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, tune in and get ready to transform your vision into reality.
Welcome to the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm Paul Guyan, your host, the Lead Machine coach, founder of the Lead Machine Marketing Group and Mastermind. And I'm dedicating to helping you tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream life. So whether you're just starting out or taking the business to the next level, let's get this conversation started and turn your dreams into reality. So today we have Ernesto Mandowsky, the founder of the $1 Million Machine. Welcome, Ernesto. Is that how would you like me to address you, Ernesto? Is there some other name that you'd like me to use?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Well, my
That's your
mom and
name.
dad called me. Yes.
Ernesto. Well, thank you again for coming. And the $1 Million Machine, we both got machine in our blood here. I've got an IT and systems background, and I assume that you do too. So what was the thing that made you say, I need to have this $1 Million Machine so that I can turn this chaotic shit show, as you said, into something that you can rely on?
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I had two dreams. One was to own 6 restaurants, and the other was to understand how machines operated, how factories worked, how things were made. I studied systems engineering. And while I was in school, I kept telling everyone about my passion for hospitality, and they were pretty confused. And when I went to the restaurant people and told my passion for technology, they were also pretty confused. And so after about 10 years of experimenting across a variety of different jobs, I realized that there was a much bigger problem to solve rather than owning some restaurants or learning how machines worked. But it's that small businesses have an overwhelming failure rate. And while there's many reasons for that to happen, I believe that many small businesses don't know how to design experiences, both for their clients and for their team members, that leave everyone feeling rejuvenated, restored, regenerated, leave them feeling better than how they got there. That's what I learned in restaurants. And when you can use technology to do that, that's where the magic can happen. So that's what got me started with the $1 Million Machine.
I like the idea of the machine, but I like, businesses, especially small business owners, they need repeatable ways they don't have time for the branding, but you mentioned the experience. The experience is so critical to stand out because it's tough out there, especially these days. It's really tough to get trust and to even stand out because there's so many people doing the same thing. And or they might be able to do it faster, or they might say it's AI or something like that, but they still aren't humanizing it and making it an experience. So why do you think that experience is so important to business owners, and how do you get started doing that?
Well, it starts with actually articulating the experience, articulating what in the restaurant world would call the steps of service. how do you actually go from A to B? When a client signs the contract, what's the first thing that happens within 24 hours? Are they getting that welcome email? Are they getting a welcome phone call? Are they getting a lumpy package in the mail with a pack of coffee? How are you immediately having them feel heard, having them feel excited, motivated to go on this journey with you? No matter
Right.
what business or service or offering that you have, everyone wants to feel restored. Everyone wants to feel excited. And every business owner has the capability of designing that level of intention into their experience. But it starts with listing everything out.
Yeah. And I imagine having just knowing who you want to serve helps inform that. Uh,
Sure.
the and what their what their desires are, what their wants are. I was just making a note here. I just haven't had a new client sign up yesterday, and it would be great to send him a package and give him some things that, because I know that he does similar things. He's investing in some swag, and he's a golf instructor, and the world's most patient golf instructor. And but he's using swag and giving gifts and things like that. We're you know, kicking things up. Uh, but you have to, there's more, it's more than just that though. You mentioned team members. How important are team members in this process?
Team members are everything. I mean, they multiply you as the founder.
Yeah.
The founder's to-do list and responsibilities and list of pressures and obligations is long and infinite. And your team members are the people who you could delegate some of these responsibilities. You could actually empower them and they can grow by your delegation. But just like a client, in that first day of work, you can make an amazing first impression with that employee. Because, if they are empowered and excited to work for you, they're going to remember that. They're going to keep that through the entire experience that you're collaborating together. And they're going to bring their A game every day. And when you have A players every day, it's 100 times better than when you have a team of C players, of people who are maybe resigned or people who are like just there punching in and punching out. You keep them excited and
Yeah.
the company continues to perform.
So let's back up a little bit. We've mentioned systems. I know what you mean by systems, and you know what you mean by systems. I think they might be the same thing. When I think of systems, I think of people, process, and technology that enables things to go faster or be
Yep.
automated or happen in a repeatable way. But what's the difference between, we were talking about software before we started recording, but what's the difference between software and the systems that you're talking about?
Yeah. So you mentioned people, process, technology. I say team, tactics, and tools.
Mhm.
Uh, the software is a tool. Software is a tool that was created so that you could get something done. Uh, Companies are filled with people, there are team members, and they are filled with tools. We all know of all the tools that our companies are filled with. But what's most often unclear are the tactics through which you do things. It's the
Yeah.
processes, it's the step by step. And that is where, um, again, the opportunity to improve lies, and clarifying those processes and really getting super clear. Because once you are clear with those, no one ever has to bother the business owner or anyone else, pull them out of whatever they're doing to ask about how something works. People can just reference a written document or a workflow or a diagram. You could just reference that and it just becomes shared knowledge that people are all aligned on.
That's interesting. So how does that play into, well, first of all, as a small business owner, or maybe you're a solo entrepreneur, and a lot of people are, especially these days, we have a gig economy, and people are, maybe they're working full time and they have a part time thing going on, and they're not so business savvy. but how do you set out to create that step-by-step workflow so that, okay, I know I'm gonna have to hire an assistant. Maybe I might get a virtual assistant or an executive assistant, and have them do things that I can't do because I don't have the time to do it and I don't do it well. So how do you set out to do that?
We're thinking on our 5-star approach with how we help unlock transformation. We take things piece by piece and only one thing at a time. Implementing any sort of transformation is a very overwhelming process.
Yeah.
And so we started the episode discussing, like, look at your offer, look at your product, and list out the steps. We have people list out what are the responsibilities that they're doing on a day to day, a week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter. And we have our clients identify which of these playbooks are ones that they love doing and which ones they hate doing. And the ones that they hate, we say, okay, it's time to list out step by step what is actually happening here.
Yeah.
Because once they have that, it's very easy, whether it's a secretary, a VA, an EA, an ops person, someone else. But, when it's about slowing down and listing out those step by step.
And what kind of challenges do you encounter? You probably get some pushback, especially with the people who are actually doing the work, especially if it's a small company with 20 or 30 people. They've always done it this way, and the sales process looks different between these 12 people, and they don't want to do it all the same way. So how do you address that challenge?
I remind people why they hired me.
Yeah.
I remind people of the vision that they are pursuing, because people want to be right more than they want to be rich sometimes.
Yeah.
Being right is safety. It's what they know, and they're afraid of change. But I remind them why they hired me and why they made this investment in the first place.
And right. And so when you're working with a company, whether there's a founder or there's the ownership or management, that vision has to be shared with everyone so that there's some sort of buy-in. And I've worked with large groups and we always had cross-functional teams, which was a big buzzword back in the 80s, building cross-functional teams. So people who had different roles, different responsibility, different levels of layers in their organizational structure involved in change, so that everyone who was a stakeholder, another buzzword, they were involved in helping to develop a process to reach that common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's really no different today. Maybe the buzzwords are different, but isn't it the same kind of process where you get people involved who you have subject matter experts, and you've got the visionary who knows what the result is, but doesn't know the details. But somehow you get from, okay, these are the things I hate to do, and here's how to actually make them happen without me involved, or without you involved, because you need to be doing this other thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you say the buzzwords, cross-functional teams and the stakeholders. I mean, the most common cross-functional team you see today is the founder. The founder is a cross-functional team with 8 different stakeholders inside their head.
Uh-huh.
And, I meet with them to sit down with them and ask them to articulate, because they and only they can articulate things.
Yeah.
But once that's articulated and programmed into software to run without them, now they don't have to carry that mental burden. They don't have to carry that information in their head. They don't have to carry that risk. Everything, it's out in the world and shared with your team.
Yeah, being a founder or being in that role where you have these multiple hats. I have have a lot of experience with having multiple hats, and there's things that keep you awake at night because you know that you are the only one who knows this, and this is a critical thing. This is a critical function that the company has to have. And like we said earlier, we were talking about fulfillment and focusing on delivery of service. Without this little thing that I do that no one else knows how to do, the system breaks. It breaks down. The delivery of service can't happen. So you need to make sure that you have a good way of pulling that out of people, so that they can write it down and get it done.
It's funny because in entrepreneurship, we typically, we start these companies because we want to like break free from the confines of a company or someone telling us what to do. And then we start these companies and then we create these new prisons for ourselves where we are the only person that knows that one thing and the process can't function without me. And on a spiritual or emotional level, it's like we create this own unhealthy dependency with our own companies. And like, we want to be right about it and we want to hold on to it because we want to feel validated by something. And so, there's a lot of deep emotional work that goes on when you're working with founders, when you're building these systems, because you're almost like asking them, or you're inviting them into this idea, hey, what about detaching? What about letting go? And some people can't handle that. Like their nervous
Yeah.
system can't handle that because then they wonder like, oh, well, then what can I do if I'm not so important with this process anymore? And so it's through helping them see that actually what you can do now is go and sell and quadruple the size of your company now. Because no one can't do that.
Right. The founder is got to do that. He's got to make it rain, or he's got to have someone who can make it rain, or a system and a process, an automation that helps make it rain, that enables it. What are some of the things that you help with mindset that help them break that barrier because they don't want to let go because they don't know anything else? Because a lot of times, and this is in the Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, talks about this. A lot of times, it's a technician who builds a company. He's really good at doing closets or cabinets. He's a cabinet maker. He's not really good at business, but he has a passion and he's got a fabulous product. But he's got to be able to detach if he's going to scale, if he's going to get past what he can deliver as a cabinet maker. So what are some of the mindset things that we can share with our audience that they might want to look at, and maybe there's some resources that they can get to overcome some of that detachment fear?
Well, I alluded to it a bit earlier in saying, understanding the vision, but the distinction I want to make now, it's not the company vision, but understanding your personal vision. So if you have a personal vision of spending time with your family or buying an amazing home or wanting to travel, it's tying those personal individualized needs to what changes you and only you can make in the context of work and your company to live into that personal future. So someone won't be able to buy the home if their business is only producing, I don't know, 500K a year or $1 million a year. Something has to change.
Yeah.
Or if they want to send their kids to private school, or if they want to travel around the world with their wife, or, whatever it is, you tie it back to like the personal wants and needs. Personal wants. I won't even use the word needs.
Yeah, there's needs and there's wants, and that's kind of where their desires come in, and that helps with that motivation, I think, too. So they can say, oh yeah, if I really want to travel, then guess what? My business has to run without me.
Right.
So Ernesto, help me get there.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of the first question, helping that align the change with the wants, and that like unlocks, oh, I need to change. But the moment they realize that, then then your ego takes you back and says, wait, but like it's not safe to do so. So the second question, it's like, what does the world need to look like so that you feel safe making this change? And so now it's like, what are the conditions that can be created so that you could actually let go, so that you could actually step away? And so they'll say, well, I think I want to see a training program, or I want to see a system being built, or I want my director of sales to be able to articulate to me how the process works. It's like, okay, great. Now we know what we need to do so that you feel safe to do the next thing, make the change. And aside from, having people like you or me, there just aren't enough people working inside of these companies to do it. And there's titles of COO and director of operations, but it's this whole mindset of change management, next generation change management, that is missing from today's ecosystem, today's small business world, medium business world. It doesn't happen until the company has become really, really big, and then they have to hire Deloitte's or McKinsey's to come in and do this stuff. And even then, it's purely robotic.
Yeah, it's too late, I think, once they do that. Once they do that, because there's no, when you do that, there's where's that heart? Where's the heart of the business? The heart and soul of the business gets lost somehow. And I've seen that happen quite a few times.
Yeah.
So what are the superpowers that systems enable companies to have? What does systems, what kind of superpowers does systems give to customers or companies rather?
Well, the ability to multiply.
Yeah.
You have a team of 5, a company without systems. That team of 5 maybe can produce 50 sales a year. But with systems, with automated sales follow-up processes, that 50 can go to 60 or 75 or 80, without having to add additional salespeople to the company. I mean, that's scale primarily. The next question is like, okay, can you now fulfill this increase in sales? So that's where you get to productize, systematize your fulfillment. Every business is a little bit differently, but when you once you automate the sales side, the acquisition side, which is the work that you do, now people can ask, okay, how can I get more efficient with actually delivering the service or the products to the client?
Right. And yeah, I have a experience with that. I had, you ever fly, Ernesto?
Of course.
Ever lose your bag?
Of course.
Yeah. So I worked for a company, and what we created a nationwide baggage delivery management system. And it was when I left the company, we were doing 40 million a year with all the major airlines. We started out with Delta Airlines, and we had to prove that we could do what we said we could do, but basically we did. And we did that in that first launch, I think, with Delta Airlines. Our first invoice to them, we consolidated invoices from their top 15 stations or airports, and gave them an invoice that consolidated all of their deliveries for the month, or for actually a 2-week period. It was about $700,000
Wow.
for deliveries. And previously, they had to, first of all, their payment cycle to the vendor, the courier, mom and pop courier, was 45 days. They were never going to pay it in 2 weeks, which is what we turned it into. Plus, they had to, every time they had an invoice, it would cost them $40 or $50 just to process the invoice.
Wow.
And it was from hundreds of different mom and pop carriers in all 15 cities. So we turned that all into one invoice. So that was one scale that we, on the fulfillment side, it was the invoicing, audit, and payment. And we had 3 people in the department. that managed that. And when we scaled to 40 million, we had 6 people. And we were auditing and we were delivering service, and we were saving millions for the airlines. And it was all automated, all paperless. And that's the power of systems that you're talking about, that you can do. You can really scale something like that. Because once we had it working, and we went to US Airways and they said, well, yeah, but we wanted to do it this way. And we said, sorry,
All
we're
right.
not changing our system. It's
Mhm.
got to be this way or not at all.
Mhm.
And so we brought on US Airways, who's now part of Delta, I think. And they always move around. But
Mhm.
anyways, that's the superpower of that order fulfillment, that processing, the operations and service delivery can be a huge lever. And went from, I think, 600,000 in the first 2 weeks to 40 million in a couple of years. That's amazing growth. So what do you have any examples of some of the success stories of companies that you've worked with that?
Yeah. So we've been working with a marketing agency, an author growth agency, for the past couple months. And when they've been managing each of their clients. They work with 50 plus clients, and each client has a different Google sheet.
Yeah.
And so imagine, for every client, they're managing 50 different Google sheets for different introductions that they're making, or videos that they are recording. And so every time a request comes in, it's like you have to look for that one sheet. You have to go in this other folder, and it's just a lot of context switching. So what
Yeah.
we've been doing for them, we use a tool called Notion.
Yeah.
And Notion is where we store and centralize all operational data. So now, instead of 50 different Google Sheets, everything is all in one Notion database. The database actually is able to report what type of shows are these authors being brought onto, how often are authors coming onto shows, which categories of shows are most popular. And so, whereas before the team had no data, no information in terms of like what was happening, how often it was happening, now everything is reportable. You could understand the activity levels, so that if anyone asks him, hey, like, what kinds of shows are most popular? What do you promote, or what are your clients doing? How often are they working with you? What are their average uh, package sizes? Like, it's with a click of a button, he is now more empowered to tell the story, to help other clients and future clients decide, hey, if you join with us, we're connected to 400 different podcasts that can, promote your book more effectively. So it's having that information at your fingertips that can help you tell your story more effectively, and grow and navigate.
What kind of results? And so this is early on in your structure or your engagement, and you've already done this in the first few weeks or first few months.
Yeah. First few months has been like the stabilization. We've been setting everything up. I'll report back in a couple months on what the results have been. But the team is feeling a tremendous sense of relief, as they don't have to context switch across all these different Google Sheets. It's now all in one place.
Yeah. Wow. Now that reminds me of the Hotel Ritz
Mhm.
and other experiences that are different from the hospitality. You want to give your client a quick win. And so doing that, just attacking that huge problem was really smart to get them that win, so that they go, oh man, I'm in love with these guys. And that's what you want to do when you're designing your systems. We talked about designing that system, sort of intentionally, so that there is an experience. How does hospitality inform a business to make that happen?
Inform a business, or our business?
Yes, both.
Both.
Yeah,
Well, we
and I know you're taking cues from the hospitality. Otherwise,
oh, totally.
you know
Totally.
some marketing agencies will sit and spend a couple of months getting the ads to scale, and there's really no results yet. And well, we got to get the data and all this versus
I
taking and giving a result right away.
we The way we do it and the way we teach others to do it is, what actions can you take to unlock the ability to deeply listen to your clients? So what that means is, the moment someone makes their first payment, signs the contract, starts working with us, we immediately schedule a welcome call. But prior to that welcome call, we have our clients fill out forms.
Yeah.
No one wants to fill out uh, 30 open-ended questions. So we design our forms to actually be multiple choice. Like, we already are thinking through some of these answers, the recurring themes. And then there's specific points that we do ask for open-ended questions. And it's through careful analysis of those responses, we immediately come to that welcome meeting, not presenting the findings, but actually saying, hey, this is the first 5 things that we're going to do in the next week. And when people already see in that first meeting, you already have looked through their business challenges and have already presented 5 things that we can do, quick things, small changes, they're already impressed.
Yeah.
They are impressed. When you send whatever, we love to ask our guests what their favorite food is. We send a small nominal gift subscription to that thing, to the office or to the founder's home, so that they can enjoy that. And so it's these really small details that you could integrate into your process that make massive difference. And it's actually recording these details in your CRM, in your HubSpot, in your Go-Ahead level, in whatever tool that you're using.
Yeah.
Because when you grow your business and you're working now with 50 clients or 60 clients, there's a lot of details that we get to keep track of.
Yeah. When I walk into the allergist office, they greet me. Every one of them knows my name. And some of them know that I have a puppy, golden retriever puppy, by the way, 9 weeks old. People know you, and they spend that extra time to know that about you. And that's a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's built into their culture. So you mentioned way at the beginning, we talked about onboarding people and onboarding staff or employees or virtual assistants or whatever. How do you ingrain that into them and help them understand what your culture is and bring them into it?
Well, I have a pre-built journey that's 14 days long, and each of these days, 3 activities happen. You break things up, because if you have a to-do list on any given day of more than 5 things, you're never going to get through it, or you're going to do it while not being present. So in that 14-day onboarding journey, I'm explaining different aspects of the company. Why we started, what is our mission, what are our core values, how do we show these core values, who is our core customer, what is our product journey, what is the outstanding offer, what are the steps that they go through it. We don't shove this down everyone's throats on day one, because they don't remember, they don't retain anything.
Yeah.
And also there's this part of learning on the team member side, but then actually articulating which one is their favorite core value, what do they love about the outstanding offer? What is one thing that how do you empathize with our ideal avatar? And so through giving them, we have like feedback forms pretty much at each of these steps, where they can actually express their opinions on things. So by giving them an opportunity to do that, they now become a co-creator of the company, of the experience, of whatever it is that they're stepping into. That's what we all want. We all want to feel like we're making a contribution to something. We don't want to be told what to do or how to do it without. That makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. I love the journey idea, and never had occurred to me. I just brought a had done some training for a client of a new team member, and it was mostly geared towards the operations and using systems and the computer training. And but there isn't but that doesn't there that onboarding process could be so much better for all of us, for no matter what, if you're just bringing on one person, just why you started it, you know telling the story, your own journey, why you started doing this thing, and how you expect to be treated, how you want your vendors to be treated, how you want your clients to be treated. I imagine you have the same sort of journey for your customers as well, in the sales
Correct.
process as well as the fulfillment process.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Wow.
And you can't control if the customer is going to read all the emails or look at all the emails, but there are, 80% of the results are 80% of the outputs are in 20% of the inputs. Like
Yeah.
you can look at the 20% key details that you must communicate to them, and you take those details and you integrate it into when you are live with the customer in person. And also, it's not just telling them, but inviting them into the conversation, asking them, what do they think about that? Which is your favorite core value? What part are you most looking forward to in the process? Uh, was there anything that wasn't working for you, that hasn't been working for you in our journey together? Like, because it's all these, if the listeners reflect on one of their favorite restaurant experiences, they probably are going to remember how often the server came in and asked to check in on the meal, or when the chef came to the table to ask how the meal was going. The same thing that we are
Yeah.
doing.
Wow. That's amazing. Um, we're starting to run out of time, but one of the things that is on your suggestion list of questions that I'm just dying to ask is, what are 5 ways to stand out when servicing clients? And we've touched on a number of those things.
So we have touched on a number of those. One is send an amuse bouche. An amuse bouche, for those not familiar, is that first bite that a guest enjoys when they sit down for the table. And the metaphor is send a welcome gift. I had mentioned the coffee,
Yeah.
to, send a coffee subscription to someone, send something that, really, that they noted in their intake form. Second one is understand the human behind the role. There is a person that you are serving. That person has goals, has a vision that they're trying to achieve. You mentioned that you asked me about how do you deal with when people are struggling or resistant. You remind them of the person, of the human, of what they want to achieve.
Right.
But the third one is presenting your brand proudly. So many small business owners are just using Google Docs, and they send a proposal uh, on an email with 5 bullets, and they're like, okay, let's go. Like, what do you think? This is the outline. And there's a lot of, it's an invisible saboteur versus, maybe I submitted my media kit with you, like it's a very nice one pager, or like really making an aesthetically pleasing website, one pager, your presentation, like everything beautifully branded because it represents who you are and the experience you're about to deliver. The fourth one is to, it's escaping me. Oh my God, it's escaping me. I'm sorry, Paul. I'm having
That's okay.
a
How about the fifth
technical,
one?
um, like totally, give me a second.
That's okay.
Maybe we can edit this part out.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, we're back. The fourth one is around prompt follow-up.
Oh,
So a client asks you a question or someone is experiencing a struggle, reply back in 24 hours or, whatever a number that feels comfortable and in alignment with the level of service that you're providing. Any tech company that you submit a ticket to, within 24 hours, they're responding back. It might be a generic response, but they are responding. So having that prompt follow-up sends an invisible signal that you are paying attention to their needs and you're there to solve those needs.
yeah.
And the last one is demonstrating your values. People love putting their values on a wall, on a website. It's cute. Everyone has values. You got to do it. But when you truly live into your values and tell people, kind of reinforce that through explaining this to people are like, oh yeah, this is a damn good company. They talk about autonomy and it actually is an autonomous process. They talk about 5-star service, actually serving you at a 5-star level. So really being in alignment with those values and demonstrating them will make a massive game changer in your customer experience.
No, I love that. I was reading a study by MIT about response time. They analyzed a bunch of different things, but one of the things that really stunned me was the response from a web inquiry within the first 5 minutes and how it dropped off. After 5 minutes, it drops the likelihood of qualifying and contacting the new lead drops 10x in the first 5 minutes.
Wow.
In 10 minutes, it's 400%. In 20 minutes, it's almost, it just
Nothing.
drops way off. It's almost as like, why bother? It's almost to that point. So you've got to have systems in place and automation so that you can enable that 5-star service delivery. Whether it's a new lead or a ticket or a phone call, you need to have some sort of mechanism, a system, an automation that can help you with that. And, some automations will even connect you with a live call. Like if there's a response within the first 5 minutes, you can actually get on the phone with a lead and start that conversation. And I was just amazed by that study.
It's interesting you say that because, now in my head, I'm like, oh my God. So does that mean a human literally needs to be on call 24/7,
No.
365? And the answer is no, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It just could mean a response, an email is sent. And you let them know someone will get with you within X amount of time. A time that, going back to the values that aligns with the values that you are setting forth for your team, for your employees. If you have a value around autonomy, create a realistic but service-oriented, autonomous way of serving customers. Tell people within 3 hours, a human will call you. If that doesn't work for the client, then maybe that client's values are not in line with the company's, and that's okay.
Yeah. 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 And with AI, you can have conversations, and I would never, try to trick them that you're not talking to an automation. But with AI, you can teach them all about your values and all about your services, and you can answer questions. You can even have it book calls, to discussions or deliver a lead magnet. There's so many things that you can do in that first 5 minutes, or however you want to slice it. So, Ernesto, it's been awesome having you. Before we go, what are 3 things that our listeners can do today to put these awesome ideas into action?
Thank you. 3 things. 1, put your phone on airplane mode for an hour. That's the first thing. The second is list out all the steps in your offer. Because doing that activity will immediately start to unlock some ideas of what could be improved, what could be automated, what could be delegated. And the third thing is list out the steps in your onboarding. As you're bringing on new employees, same thing. How do you make that onboarding experience magical so that people are alive and amped up to go to work every single day? Those are some three things. Hopefully those bring some clarity
Awesome.
to,
Yeah,
to the
I like it.
audience.
I like it. And, I add on to that, if you are working with suppliers, you should have an onboarding process for suppliers too. Whether, you're paying them via wire, you're setting terms, you have a certain protocols, you need W-2s or 1099s, information like that. You don't want to be chasing that at the end of the year. If you're going to have a relationship, you might as well start it off, no matter if it's a client, an employee, or a vendor. 5-star
Mhm.
service. So awesome.
Remember.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ernesto. I just love, I love the angle and that unlikely combination of hospitality and the engineering of manufacturing coming together and just creating awesome and amazing experiences. And wow, I never thought of that. Awesome.
Th-
Well, thanks
Thank you.
again. And remember, everyone, faith and action go hand in hand. So keep the pedal to the metal until next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show. I'm your host, Paul Guyan, and Ernesto Mandowsky. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks all.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lead Machine Growth Show with Paul Guyan, where we show you how to tackle your tech, master your message, and design your dream so that you can transform your vision into reality. Remember to visit our website at www.leadmachinegrowthshow.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Lead Machine Growth Show. And then